I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is Wrighster or Wrong. Today's a doozy. The NFL, they hijacked the NCAA tournament's day, just like they do everything, dude. Just when you think it's baseball time, it's winter, the hot stove is popping. Nope. NFL news. NCAA tournament starts. Don't worry about it. News, big news, big trades, everything like that. They tried to hijack the day. Huge upset, maybe the biggest upset of all time in the NCAA tournament. St. Peter's upsets Kentucky. We'll talk about that. And transgender swimmer Leah Thomas competes for Penn, wins the NCAA, and in another final right now. Should she be allowed to compete with the women? And we will start with the NFL hijacking the NCAA tournament. Ralph, the NFL has been doing this masterfully all offseason. Aaron Rodgers, between Tom Brady dropping news on a random Sunday, on Selection Day Sunday. Be like, so people can't even like chill and be like, okay, cool, let's watch and see the brackets. No, here comes Tom Brady just dropping a tweet. He couldn't wait till Monday. Like, damn, bro. And then you had the Russell Wilson news break prior to that, him getting traded. Now we find out that Devontae Adams gets traded from the Green Bay Packers to the Raiders. And we're like, hold up. We thought that this was a foregone conclusion. So first thing, Ralph, what do you think about the NFL hijacking days? Because they've already tried to steal Christmas from the NFL. I'm sorry, from the NBA. They just take whatever they want. They are gangsters.
Yeah, it makes me feel like Martin Scorsese when he said Marvel's not real cinema. Like it's just you get a little bit of jealousy. Like I just want my time to enjoy Selection Sunday without having to like take 45 minutes to process the idea that Tom Brady's coming back for a 23rd season in the NFL after a 6-week retirement. Like you know, one of the biggest upsets of all time takes place last night. And before I'm done, like thinking about that, Devonte Adams is on his way to Oakland to be paired with the guy who's had the most sacks in the NFL for the last 8 years in Chandler Jones. Meanwhile, Von Miller signs what seems to be the most absurd deal if he actually makes it to the end of it in the history of football. But then you have to think about the fact that like could Von Miller be one of the first players to get three
Yeah.
Super Bowls in three different cities? And
6 years, 120, 50 million guarantees, bro.
ooh, so yeah, it does just kind of it does just kind of take over. And then you have the Baker Mayfield thing. And the Baker Mayfield thing, because Cleveland sports fans are so passionate, which, by the way, it is incredible. Like, you got to think, like, Cleveland is probably one of the best sports towns, definitely one of the most
In
tortured,
terms of
but one of the best
fans
sports
and how
towns
much they care.
i- in relation to results.
Yes.
Because, like, you and I, like, live that Pac 12 life. You definitely more than me. And that, like, if you're doing something worth paying attention to, I'll pay attention to you. Would you say that that's fair?
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, and like, but I'm always paying attention to Oregon because they're pretty much always doing something worth paying
Right,
attention to. Pretty much always,
right.
except this year and
But if
bust.
they had like 15 straight years of irrelevance followed by like 2 years of being okay, you might be less excited
Yes.
about Oregon. Well, that is the Cleveland Browns. They were worse than irrelevant for the longest time, but they still always get a place in the national narrative based on how passionate the fan base is. And now the organization is getting ready to chase out the best quarterback they've had since the team packed up and moved to Baltimore.
Okay. So now they've had like 50 starting quarterbacks since like 2000 when they drafted Couch. But the funny part about this is that
Wait, hold on. Before you move on, who is your favorite Cleveland Browns interim quarterback?
Seneca Wallace.
Seneca Wallace? All right. I would say Derek Anderson before he turned into a QAnon weirdo, so I'm gonna have to go with Kelly Holcomb.
Ooh, that was a name out of the name of forgotten NFL quarterback tweet. Um, so, but But Cleveland, though, they are a city that if you just look at their situation, right? If
Yeah.
Baker wants to be traded, I don't blame Baker for wanting to be traded. It would be like if I came in the house today and said, "All right, Niche, look, I'm going out tonight and I'm gonna try to find your replacement." Yeah. I'm going out with Joy Taylor tonight, and I'm gonna see if I can make this thing work. I'm going out with J Lo tonight to see if I can make this thing work. Okay, and
Right.
then I come back home. Hey, listen, didn't work out, but we still cool though, right? How's that gonna work?
It's one of the most dysfunctional things I've ever seen, and still have Browns fans in my mentions who I was just happy to engage with because they're miserable people, and I like to remind them of how they got to the point of this level of misery. But I was like, well, you're not going to get Deshaun. He's leaving. Deshaun Watson is leaving Houston because of the dysfunction that exists within the organization. People are like, oh, Deshaun Watson is leaving Houston because of his legal troubles. No,
No,
his legal troubles came out after he said, I'm never playing another down for this weirdo franchise. Do you really think Deshaun Watson is looking at what Cleveland's doing to Baker Mayfield and saying to himself, yeah, I'm going to get out of the frying pan and jump into the fire?
yeah,
No way.
or looking at the Jimmy Haslam, the owner who was ripping off truckers.
Right.
Like, come on, bro. Hard working American people ripping them off for billions of dollars. Okay. But but okay, so Baker has a right to be upset, right? But
Right. And he sort of, this is a guy he's like the Lewis Black of football. You know, the comedian Lewis
yeah.
Black, who's always like pointing and yelling.
Yep.
I always look at Baker Mayfield. I was like, man, this guy's always pissed off. Now he has an actual reason to be pissed off.
Yes. But
Not a
okay.
manufactured one, a
So
real one.
some of it is his doing, why they're out searching for a new replacement. Some of it is his doing. Some of it is the franchise's doing. But here's the thing that I've noticed is that quarterbacks at this point in time, there's a bunch of mad quarterbacks in the last year. You got Kyler Murray, who's still apparently upset. Carson Wentz, who was upset in Philly. Aaron Rodgers, who was upset last year. Baker Mayfield, who's upset and wants a trade now. Russell Wilson was upset. Deshaun Watson upset. Guess what? There's a common denominator and a common theme between all of this. And then there's some other quarterbacks as well. The theme is that quarterbacks are being treated like everybody else on the roster, and they don't like it. They actually have enough cachet, cap space, and to like disturb the peace enough where they do have to be traded. Like, you can't have the leader of your team be disgruntled and keep him there. So, and when I say they're being treated like everybody else on the roster, everybody else on the roster, they're always trying to find your replacement. Like,
Right.
they'll go watch. You can be the Devontae Adams, and the Packers are still going to go watch pro days for the top wide receivers, even though they particularly won't draft one, but but other teams will. You're the starting tight end. Don't worry, we're going to go look at tight ends. You're the starting tackle. We're going to go look at tackle just in case we can get a good one that might be a little bit cheaper, and we'll pass you on. Dude, the Seattle Seahawks didn't even tell Bobby Wagner, their greatest linebacker and one of their top 3 or 4 greatest players of all time. It's like Walter Jones, Russell Wilson, and him. And then you go down to like Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor,
Steve Largent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about Largent. I apologize.
He wrote to white people everywhere.
but, yeah, but they, I mean, if you think about it, right, Ralph?
Yeah.
This is why they're upset, because they're getting treated like everybody else on the roster. I'm not saying that how they're being treated is right, because the difference between players now and then back in the day is that players now want to be treated and are going to force you to treat them like human beings, is particularly if they have any leverage. So they are not gonna let you just treat them any old kind of way. They'll be like, listen, you're not treating me with the respect and the human element that I deserve, so I want out.
What's human though? Isn't hating your boss as equally human as feeling valued and respected? I feel like it's two sides of the same coin. I feel like you have more of an issue of the dichotomy of like being treated like a god, and someone in your organization treats you like a commodity, and you're like, well, those two things don't match up. I'm a two-time NFL MVP with thousands of people chanting my name and cheering my name at every single game. What do you mean you're not also going to kiss the ring? Just
No,
because you
but
signed my
it's not even
paychecks
kiss
doesn't
the
mean
ring.
you
It's
shouldn't be a fan of me as well.
no, no, no. See, I don't even look at that. So that specifically Aaron Rodgers, right? So wouldn't the human element thing to do? Yo, we're gonna draft. Pick up the phone. We're gonna draft Jordan Love. I notice you're not happy about it. I just want to give you a heads up the way you're not blindsided by it. Or a couple days prior, we're if listen, if things fall a certain way in the draft, there is a possibility that we do take this kid. I mean, like I understand the idea of asking for forgiveness instead of asking for permission, but there's an element to it where like there's some stuff that you're gonna break things in the process, and then your plan doesn't work out like it did with Aaron Rodgers or like it did with Russell Wilson when they showed up at Josh Allen's pro day, the main Seahawks people, and you're like, why would you be there? And then they've done other things since. Like they called and asked about Justin Herbert. They
Right.
were sniffing around Oregon about Justin Herbert. So they've been thinking about getting rid of Russ for a minute. And he's clearly in his prime still. And you're like, hold up. This makes no sense. So these types of non-human things, not granted, it is a business and all of that. But Ralph, here's the question: are fans starting to, because they used to only side with ownership? They're like, yo, this guy's being too greedy, this and that. I'm seeing a shift to where people see this as employer employee issues and workplace issues that they have in their own life rather than millionaire billionaire problems.
Well, you kind of have to because it's forced on you. It's forced on you, right? Like so many people are unsatisfied, and perhaps the level of dissatisfaction in the NFL right now is relative to the rest of the country. The whole great resignation that's happening, the big changes that a lot of people are making in their lives. Shit, I'm living in a state that I had never even visited before 14 months ago. So there are a lot of people that seemingly just want change, whether it's Tom Brady going from New England and ending that chapter to go to Tampa Bay, or Deshaun Watson wanting out when he did, or Matt Stafford wanting out when he did, or Russ Wilson wanting out when he did, or now Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz. It's so frequent that you've been confronted with the reality so much that you can't be in denial. You can't just deal with your individual situation and say, well, it's only me, especially if you're a multi-sport fan and you've been watching this happen in the NBA for such a long time. So many people like to believe that, like, oh, if I only had that money, then it wouldn't matter how you treat me. You could spit on me, you could wipe your feet on my shirt, and it
It
wouldn't
don't
matter
work like
because
that.
there's a price on my dignity. But the truth of the matter is, it it is pretty much a workplace issue, and there are no monetary substitutes for feeling valued, for feeling wanted. It works that way in college football recruiting, which is why you see the hyperactive transfer portal. It works that way in the NBA, which is why you see stars bounce from team to team to team looking for that superstar, three three-sided biblical cord that's going to work for
Yep.
them or whatever. And it's why you're seeing it in football now. And it's really nice to see the average fan get confronted with the reality of the fact that these are just human beings, because for the longest time it was spoiled athlete, that could never be me. But now you're watching people all over the country jump from job to job to job, from place to place to place, just trying to figure out how they can spend the limited amount of time they have on this earth in a state of some semblance of satisfaction or feeling valued or going back to what your core values are. Now, at the same time, it could be a matter of people with massive egos. What I'm more concerned about is from the ownership end. How in the world can your football team work the same way as a Circle K job where two of the managers are complete schmucks? How? How could the Browns have screwed things up as badly as they did? How could the Houston Texans have screwed things up as badly as they did? How could the Cardinals ownership be calling Chris Mortensen to badmouth their franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray? Why'd the Browns do the same exact thing and tell Mort that Baker Mayfield wasn't an adult? Why? Why are people so inept that they have to go out and get their story out and go to the media and get things out on background? Why can't you handle things in house? Why don't people have emotional intelligence? Why at that level with that amount of money involved can you not just find people who could be just normal for 2 fucking seconds and not be giant weirdos?
No, you are
It's
right.
upsetting. It makes me feel hopeless. Like I am absolutely blessed to work alongside you because I don't have that situation where I'm like, Jesus Christ, I could do George's job better than him. Like there's no, but I've worked in situations where I've been like, my manager is a weirdo. I cannot believe they elevated him. I can't believe they don't see what I see. Well,
Yeah.
but how is that happening at the NFL with this much money at stake, with this many good people
Because they hire
available?
people that they like and that they know instead of hiring the best available person. They don't know what they're looking for in head coaches and general managers. The owners don't, because they know how to find people who are good at their job in real life. And sometimes they don't even know how to do that in their industry. They'll go through a couple of CFOs or a couple of COOs or a couple of high level managers,
Yeah,
global partner manager or whatever. They'll go through a couple of them prior to finding the right people. So it's the same thing. And then they don't want to be the owner that's meddling, and they get in their head. They don't know what's going on. And a lot of them are in
I,
it for the tax write off.
I just think about last year with, say, like the Arizona Cardinals had a mid-teens draft pick and they draft Zaven Collins, a linebacker from Tulsa. And in the press conference, they say he's starting. The linebacker that we are actually paying all our money to doesn't
Bro,
even have the opportunity to
bro,
compete to start.
that's stupid. Like
And then
that
it turned
is
out Zaven Collins wasn't ready, and now the fans are mad at him because he had the
Dude,
expectation
that's
set that he
stupid.
didn't
You
even have to
should
earn the
never.
job.
Exactly. You should have to earn the job. And when teams do that, I'm telling you, because I was on a team that did it in Jacksonville, where they just gave Reggie Williams and Matt Jones spots instead of making them earn it, go to special teams meetings, all of that stuff. That changes the whole dynamic of the team, dude. It is not good. But the NCAA tournament, though, bro, which the NFL hijacked as we're talking about this first.
It's our
Um,
lead. We're like, damn it, NFL, but we'll participate.
yeah. And so St. Peter's versus Kentucky yesterday. I think that this is the biggest upset in college basketball history. I think it's bigger than I think it's bigger than UMBC beating Virginia a couple years ago. And the
Okay.
reason why is because of this. Is when you look at St. Peter's, which me, just like everybody else, had to Google to see where it was, or did you know where
I
it
did.
was?
I no. I consider myself an absolute sports junkie, and I did not know that St. Peter's was in Jersey City. I knew it existed peripherally, but I had
I
no
had
idea
never,
where.
dude. My first guess was like, sounds like a city in Florida. Sound, sounds like a city in, like, in one of the Carolinas or something. Like,
Or
so
around Boston, one of the Catholic places.
yeah, I didn't even go to Boston. I was like, I think it's southish. It feels southish, but nope. It's from Jersey. It is a small Jesuit school. Ralph, what does a big endowment look like at a school?
Oh my gosh, the B word, right? We're talking about like Stanford. We used to make fun of Stanford for cutting like rowing and other sports
Yeah.
when they just had like a billion on hand that they could throw around if they needed to.
More than that, dude.
Yeah,
Stanford's endowment is in the double digits or 100 billion. Like it's stupid. Um, now okay. So now, what do you think that the University of Kentucky's endowment is as of
I'm
June
assuming
30th, 2021?
I'm assuming it's rather large because it's pretty much the only thing that state has. And I'm not like insulting the state of Kentucky. It's been that way since I was a kid. Kentucky is like Louisville. That's nice. You have your thing, but the University of Kentucky is the pride of the state of Kentucky. That and a horse race.
Okay, so Kentucky's endowment, and my mind you, endowments are not just that. Like for some schools, endowments can't be used for sports because they're earmarked for other things to help grow the university, and like
But
it's
they're
how the
usually an indicator of access to capital.
correct. So Kentucky's endowment is $2.1 billion as of June 30th. Texas A&M, which has the largest public like Power Five, or the largest endowment of any public school, right? $18 billion. Endowment for Stanford, $28 billion. Okay,
Yeah.
guess what the endowment for this 3,500 student school St. Peter's is?
Two loaves of bread and five fish.
Basically, there are probably players on Kentucky's team that have bigger NIL deals than their than their basketball budget, probably. So
Oh, for sure. I've seen some of the stuff they did for Ty Ty Washington
yeah,
out of the state of Arizona. Like, I would absolutely guarantee that that's the truth.
$37 million. So when you look at David and Goliath, this is one of the biggest upsets of all time. And when you look at point spreads, okay, found some information that the largest spread upsets since the tournament, largest spread upsets since the tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985. The biggest was Norfolk State, who 15 beat Missouri. They were a 25 and a half point dog. UMBC beat Virginia, number one seed and number one overall seed, 20 and a half points. Santa Clara, number 15, beat Arizona in 1993.
You know who was on that Santa Clara team, don't you?
Yeah, Steve Nash.
There you go.
Um, and uh, in 1997, Coppin State beat South Carolina 18 and a half. And then St. Peter's was an 18 and a half point dog against Kentucky. But like I know
I wonder what Buffalo was when they beat Arizona back when they had DeAndre Ayton. I feel like that had to be close
yeah,
to making that top five.
but I just say that this was, I mean, and then we saw last year we saw some big upsets from the team from what was it, Abilene Christian. Like
Yeah.
so we've seen it, but in terms of David and Goliath, I think that this might be one of the biggest ones of all, if not the biggest. Or do you consider UMBC bigger? Because it's the
Uh,
only time a 16s beat a one.
it really depends on how you think about it because Virginia didn't they win it all the next year?
Yes.
So in retrospect, plus UMBC went on quite a run. I consider like the pluckiest underdogs to be George Mason and UMBC because they actually like did something. They they kept winning. So I think it kind of depends on. Would you consider it a bigger upset if they turned around and got blasted tomorrow?
Mm, maybe. Maybe.
Or because if a team goes out and proves it that they're worthy, then does it lessen the sting of the upset?
Yes, it definitely does. It definitely
Okay,
does.
so then I think that this has a potential to be bigger than the UMBC one because UMBC went on a run.
Hmm, makes sense. All right.
But you
Now,
got to talk to Shaheen Holloway on your show. How
yes,
was that?
that's what I was getting ready to bring up, dude. So Shaheen Holloway, when I first heard his name when he was coaching when we were watching the game, I was like, hold up, this name, this name, this name. And then I'm like, wasn't he in the McDonald's All American game? I think he was the MVP of the McDonald's All American game. And then I was like, yep, same year as Kobe and Jermaine O'Neal. And then he picked Seton Hall over pretty much everybody. And then in 2000, this fool hit the game-winning shot against Oregon when he was at Seton Hall, and that's why he was burned into my brain. I was like, this damn name. But it was super dope, dude. He said he was like, we knew that we could compete. That I told my guys that if we can get past the first 7 minutes, we're gonna beat these dudes.
Okay.
And hell, if
That's a
they
nice
didn't.
sentiment. They did it. They pulled it off.
But what? See. Here's the thing that I notice about teams that go deep, that upset and win in the tournament. First thing is there's not a lot of familiarity with their personnel, right?
Right.
Number number one, like so. Yes, they got a chance to watch some film, but they haven't played against them. And but the thing is, first of all, they have guys 22, 23 playing against 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds. That's the first thing. Second thing is that they usually have enough height and big men who can score and rebound. Like you don't like they may not be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but they can hold up because if you look at the big men from like Richmond, the big men from who upset the 12-5 yesterday. Look at the big men from New Mexico State upset yesterday, and you look at the the St. Peter's big men. They're all tall, skinny. They're athletic. They can jump. They can score around. But when you look at Kentucky and all of them, their big men, bro, they are full. Like they look like defensive ends. But they find a way to be able to hold up, and
And
that
St.
was
Peter's
why.
has seven. St. Peter's has 7 guys 6'7" or above.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So that length matters, and that's why. So when you're looking for upsets, here's the trick, people. Just so you know, you need at least 2 guards who can score the basketball, and then big men who can rebound, run the floor, and at least one of them that can knock down some shots. Just telling you.
Is it weird to you that that St. Peter's is like 13 black guys and Doug Edert, and
Yes,
Doug is the one that got all the love?
dude, because Doug hit 2 big clutch 3-pointers. He wasn't the highest scorer in the game. I think he had 20 off the bench, while somebody else, one of the starters, I forgot his name, had 27. But out of the big upsets yesterday, aside from St. Peter's, I was intrigued by the New Mexico State win because that kid that they have that transferred from Nebraska, he was fantastic. But here is what happens every single year I watch the tournament, Ralph. And I know that other people
Okay.
are like this. Every single year, I come in with my bracket with who I think is going to win and who I'm generally pulling for. And then some kind of way during that I end up rooting against my own bracket every time. Like
That's funny.
I picked Kentucky to win, but in the game I'm pulling for them to lose. And the same thing with Richmond. I got all in on them. I wanted New Mexico State to win. And then I'm like, bro, I do this every single year. I pick a bracket and then I find myself rooting against it. And I'm like, I don't even care. I don't even care.
Okay, so here's my question. A guy like Doug Edert, who's a junior, right? He's probably not going to the NBA. He's 6'2", 185. He's playing in the shadow of his hometown. He scores 20 in the conference championship, follows it up by scoring 20 against Kentucky. He grew a mustache. He's usually a clean-cut dude, but now he's a star. Uh, in the age of NIL,
He
did
got to
he
go.
just make himself money to go play at Kentucky?
That's a good point, bro. And the question,
Are these auditions? Are
it
these free agent auditions? Because I know for a fact, like Shaheen Holloway, He's going to be
Hmm.
like this year's Shaka Smart. Like it is literally always worked that way for coaches. Always.
That is a
You got South Carolina firing Frank Martin. They're going to have an opening. Like there's going to be people looking for who the next big splashy name is to hire as a coach. Now in NIL, if you go off in the NCAA tournament in front of everybody, are you auditioning for your next team?
yes. The answer is yes. I mean, there's never been more incentive to do it than there is now. I mean, just look at New Mexico State, right? They
Right.
they have a junior on their team named Teddy Allen.
Okay.
Teddy Allen, he's a junior. His first year, he was at West Virginia in 2017, 2018. Then he didn't resurface again until 2020, 2021. I don't know what his situation was at Nebraska. So he averaged 7 points a game. He averaged 7 points, 2 rebounds when he was at West Virginia as a freshman. He goes to Nebraska. There's 3 years in between, and he averages 16 and a half points, 4.7 rebounds, almost 2 assists, and a steal a game, right? Then he transfers from Nebraska to New Mexico State, averages a dub, and averages 20 points, almost 7 rebounds, and almost 3 assists a game. So now, if you are Teddy Allen, are you on the move again? Because I mean, granted, he could have some history because that may be why some of these moves were made because he was good at Nebraska. So why would you leave? You know what I mean? Like, why would you leave to go? But anyways, people make different decisions for different reasons. But I just find it very interesting. Oh, he's from Arizona. He's from Phoenix. So, but will he be at Arizona next year? Can't hear you, Ralph.
I muted so that you didn't have to hear me sipping on Mike's Harder Blood Orange. It
Wow.
tastes like table cleaner, but I do like black cherry in case they want to sponsor the podcast. Just you need to improve the formula on the blood orange is what I'm saying. It's Friday, and like your buddy at Nike, I don't work today. So anyway, uh, it's your athleticism is what you're selling. It's a limited resource. It makes sense to me that you would want to cash in on it. Um, so I fully understand, and it got me thinking when you were talking just now that these Kentucky players they got their NIL deals. Well, they're going out against a whole team that knows that they're on a national stage and is literally playing to put food on the table. It's the difference now between you want to talk about the team that's hungrier. It's literal hunger. The
Yeah.
team that got paid versus the team that's in a free agent year. It could just make the tournament more exciting. I don't know. I know that people aren't going to like it if you're a St. Peter's fan. Or whatever. I know that it's a rich get richer business, but look at what the LA Dodgers just did. Like that's just the way of the world. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how the rest of the tournament goes. I'm interested to see if it results in some type of mass free agency within basketball, which already exists because basketball was out of control before the transfer portal ever got football fans riled up. But it'll be really interesting to me to see if some of these St. Peter's players end up at different schools because of what they did together. Um, which would be a bummer because I'd love to see them run it back. And I like the idea of colleges making a name for themselves the way that like a Creighton has or Gonzaga or a St. Mary's. When you become known as a basketball school, I feel like New Mexico State's one of them. You become known as a basketball school, then you get to be part of that whole basketball culture. You don't need to be part like in football. You got to be part of a big time conference, right? In
Yep.
basketball, you just have to be known for in the same as any other industry. You have to be known for like this is what we produce. So like people might not know this, but Utah State is a great school if you're going into aerospace engineering, right? So like
Mm.
that's some of these schools are getting known for basketball
Yeah.
and that's really exciting to me. And so it'd be kind of a bummer to see people jump ship, but that's the way of the world, and I support
Hey,
everybody getting
hey,
paid
hey.
because it's a limited resource.
Nobody's gonna be mad at Shaheen Holloway for
No,
taking a raise from whatever he's making to $1 million next
he is
next year.
making 150,000.
Yeah.
The
So and
estimate is that he's
when
making
he's
more.
making 1.5 next year, nobody's going to begrudge him for doing that. They're gonna be
No,
like,
they'll say he earned it.
yeah. And now didn't Eater or didn't the other kid or didn't Teddy Allen, didn't he earn it too? The answer is yes, absolutely. Now, oh, now, because we're gonna save this, there are games today, right? As we are
Yeah.
recording, in the books already is the Ohio State beat Loyola Chicago, Auburn beat up Jackson State,
There's eight
USC.
minutes left, but you could say that Texas Tech's in the books.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah. They're up by almost 40 points. Purdue is gonna beat Yale. Yeah. That one's in the books. Delaware Villanova still in the first half, 2 point game. Miami
Mhm.
USC is going on. So give me your quick predictions. Villanova or Delaware?
I'm going to say Villanova.
I got Villanova too, but Miami but it's gonna be a squeaker. Miami or USC?
I can't go against the Pac-12. I know that USC is not constructed all that well as a team, but I'm not going to do it. USC.
Me too. Notre Dame or Alabama?
Alabama had a much tougher road to get here. Notre Dame has tasted winning a little bit more. I know there's some people that don't believe Notre Dame should have even been in the situation that they were in, and maybe it should have been Texas A&M. But I like Alabama.
I like Notre Dame. Virginia Tech or Texas?
Hot hand, hot hand. I got to go with Virginia Tech, and I know that people will say like, you're really just going to go off of what they did in the tournament. Why would you fall for that trick? Because I'm a sucker, and that's what I do. So I'm going with the team that won the tournament.
All right, Chattanooga. I'm going with Virginia Tech too. Chattanooga, Illinois.
I just kind of always root against Illinois in the
Damn,
tournament.
why are we on the same page, bro? I'm taking Chattanooga.
I like it.
Cal State, Fullerton, and Duke.
For the sake of my bracket, Duke, please. But wow, it would be funny to see Cal State Fullerton in the shadow of the Anaheim Angels get a win over Coach K in his last ever game. That'd
Yeah,
be
no.
funny to me.
Nope. Duke will win. Iowa State, LSU. I got Iowa State.
I'm gonna go opposite you, and I'm gonna go with LSU. Is probably feels like they're out from under
Will
the
Wade.
cloud of Will Wade. My one of my next door neighbors' nephew is Will Wade, and he has not made eye contact for the last few days. So
All right. Wright State, Arizona. This is easy. Arizona.
yeah, Arizona all the way.
UAB in Houston.
I root for UAB in almost everything, but I really like Houston, so I'm gonna roll with them.
I got Houston too. Davidson over. I'm sorry, Davidson, Michigan State. I got Davidson. I like their player. Oh my God, I think he's Chinese, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, that kid. So yeah,
That
so I want to see him do well. So yeah, I'm
that
going.
school only has like 3,000 enrollment.
Oh
It's
no! I'm sorry. He is Korean. So
okay.
so
I'm
don't
glad
call
you
me.
corrected yourself.
Yes, because that could be a bad look. Yes, I do know the difference between Chinese people and Asian people. Stop.
Chinese and Asian. He's struggling, man.
I'm gonna stop. Colgate in Wisconsin.
Uh, I Wisconsin's really good. But my daughter picked Colgate because it's the name on her toothpaste, so I'm gonna roll with her.
That's another podcast. You chose Colgate toothpaste, but anyways, TCU or Seton Hall.
Well, Seton Hall, since we were talking about him earlier, but I don't want to get too into this, but I bet you use some like straight up baking powder toothpaste.
I use Dr. Bronner's.
That's is it just comes out in like a powder form?
No, it doesn't, dude. And it's cinnamon flavored. They have cinnamon. They have peppermint. They even have black licorice for nasty people. Um, All right. Last thing we have up today, controversial topic. University of Pennsylvania swimmer Leah Thomas is a transgender athlete. She is competing at the NCAA championships right now. And Friday morning, this morning, she finished second in the 200-yard freestyle. So she's the second seed. The only person who finished behind her, in front of her, is Stanford Junior and Canadian Olympian Taylor Ruck. And yeah, and yesterday she won.
Taylor Ruck, state of Arizona, by the way.
Yep. And
Taylor Ruck. I covered her in high school.
see, you love your Arizona people.
I
But
do.
Leah Thomas became the first transgender athlete to win a Division One national championship on Thursday after she captured the 500 freestyle. There were protests outside, and now this is a debate that we've had in my house because we have a 22-year-old daughter who's in college. She she's very outspoken about people and their rights and all of this stuff. So we've had some very spirited debates about this. And
Right.
even she is conflicted about this. And I understand the conflict because people are like, hold up, people should be able to compete, right?
Yeah.
However, it is very well known. It is just a fact. Men are stronger than women physically. And mind
Right.
you, yes, there are men who are, we're talking about in general, that physically our muscles develop differently. We have more testosterone, all of this stuff. This doesn't mean that a female athlete like Serena Williams is not one of the greats of all time. Like it's like comparing eras. But but I believe, Ralph, that in the case of transgender athletes, particularly those who used to identify as males, now are who are competing in female sports,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out on that. I'm not out on it
Okay.
the other way around. Like if Diana Taurasi wanted to go play in the NBA, got no
Right.
problem with that. It's like you can always play up, but you can't play down, if that makes sense. Like
Which
kind
is
of like in kids sports, where like you always play like it would, but not good enough to be an elite male swimmer.
correct.
Yeah. So then now goes to go compete with the women and now is a national champion. There are, cases like Kit Caster, Semenya, and all of that, who was the track runner. There are hermaphrodite situations, all of that. So I'm not counting those situations. I'm talking about a standard transgender situation. I believe that you should have to compete in the sport as the sex that you were born as because it creates an unfair advantage. And I know for me, because I asked my daughter, who is very very liberal on these issues and all of this stuff. She has friends that are, and I and and I would be upset because when she played tennis, I would be upset if she were going to go compete for a tournament championship, not even a national championship, if then she had to play against a, a, a transgender athlete who was formerly a male. Now, when they're like 10, 12 years old, I don't care. But once that maturity, puberty starts kicking in and all that, I think it's a tough situation. The answers are tough because people will say, well, then where are they supposed to compete? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I know that this is not fair.
Right. And I mean, the size is a factor here. Emma Wyant, who Leah Thomas beat in, it was the 500 freestyle. Um, Emma Wyant is an Olympic silver medalist. came home, trained for the NCAA championships, I think as part of the University of Virginia's team, if I'm not mistaken, and ends up finishing up to Leah Thomas in the NCAA championships in this particular event. Couple of things on this. Thing number one is I'm now seeing Emma Wyant lifted up by the conservative grift machine as their latest champion in the culture wars, right? I'm not sure she wants that. She who knows what Emma Wyant's thoughts are on this. Maybe they're out there, but the idea that like a Charlie Kirk or conservative politicians who are elected officials be using this as an example to rally more people to their side um, is not the right thing. The truth of the matter is we spend almost all our time with technology outpacing legislation. Always. There's always, you don't legislate something unless you are trying to address an issue that exists.
Yeah.
Leah Thomas is a transgender athlete who has a physical advantage and is much taller and longer and bigger. And we know how that type of stuff affects, swimmers. Tim Duncan could have been a world champion, with the way Michael Phelps, with the way that his body was compared to other swimmers, gave him a huge advantage. I think that there are a lot of people who believe that, there are issues of gender being selected at birth. There are issues of hermaphroditism, and there's issues of, people not believing that they are the gender that they were assigned, and they want to feel included in society. And what Leah Thomas has said is, if they're going to let me swim, I'm going to swim. And I don't have a problem with that at all.
I don't have a problem with that either. Like,
So,
like if
so,
they're
but
gonna
would you say so?
allow it, then
Right. So is Leah Thomas's championship a championship? Because I think it is. If it's allowed, it's allowed.
yeah, yeah. It's a no. It is a championship because technically she won.
So
But
if you're Mark Emmert, though, what do you do? If you're the NCAA competition committee in swimming,
it's
what do
too
you do?
late. They let her compete already. It's too late.
But do you react now?
No,
Do
you
you
needed
react
to
now?
be no, absolutely not. This was already an issue prior to the competition. You knew it. So you either needed to
Right.
address it then. I mean, but like this is the thing is that people don't really want to have these hard conversations because they'll turn it into, oh, this person hates transgender people, this person hates transgender athletes, this person hates this. No, this is about competition and fairness, right? And I mean, it's just like it's the reason why there are weight classes in boxing, while there is, like there's women's basketball versus men's basketball. It's just different. And
I've heard
until
people
we
say,
get
like,
some
well,
sort of
we need to give transgender athletes their own category. Here's the deal: there's not enough,
that's what I was
which
gonna
is
say.
what
There's
makes
not
me think
enough.
this is an anomaly, George. Like, everybody is furious about a thing that's probably maybe not going to happen again for like 25 more years, if ever.
No, no, no.
And
I
and I
believe it's
want
going to come up more than. And here's, I'm not gonna say that. Never mind.
I don't hear. I'm just going to put this out there. I do not believe that it's an incentive. I don't. I don't think that there are people out there who are like Johnny Knoxville, the Ringer, or Juwanna Man, who are like, "This is my ticket, making my putting a target on my back, making my whole life hell, so that I can win a prize."
Is
And
whoa,
I think
whoa, whoa, whoa,
anybody,
whoa. Hold on. Now that I disagree with. I do believe that because
you
we
think
see,
that there's people who you think that there's people who never ever in their lives had a thought that they were born a different gender, who would then make up their mind that they were born up a different gender just to be able to place higher in their sport.
hold on. And before I answer that question, I want to preface this by saying that I believe would be the overwhelming minority. I'm talking about fractional percentages, right? But we do,
Because
but
not
hold on,
only
hold
would
on,
it
hold on.
have to
But
be
Ralph,
somebody.
haven't we seen people that are willing to like fake birth certificates. They are willing to do all sorts of. They're willing to take PEDs. They're willing to do whatever it takes to win. Right? They're willing to Tanya Harding people. Like there are a certain minority of people who are willing to like literally kill to win, like murder
Yeah.
people to win an event. So if there are people who are willing to murder people to win, and mind you, how many people do you think that there are willing to murder people to win? Like actually murder them?
It happens. That's why murder exists. I
No,
mean, that's
no.
Cain and Abel.
I mean, I'm saying like in the world of sports, like in professional sports, how many people do you think are willing to act, or in some sort of high level competition, are actually willing to murder somebody to win?
It's an extreme minority, but
Yes,
there are people out there like Ray Caruth who don't have a conscience who
but
will
that,
say like,
but that's my
if I can
point.
get rid of this baby mama, I can live my life without a worry.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that while that would be the overwhelming minority, there is somebody that will do that.
But don't we owe it to ourselves to at least have the conversation to figure out if that's what Leah Thomas? What if Leah Thomas just likes swimming?
I'm not saying that that's what happened. I am not in any way, shape, or form suggesting that that's what happened in this situation. I am merely saying that this creates an unfair advantage, and that this creates a situation where the entire field is disenfranchised for one person. And I think that we need to find a solution that is equitable. And until we do, I don't know what we do. Like I don't know how we keep along the same situation.
Does the situation change if you wear the shoes? That's what I want to know. Does the situation change if you put yourself in those shoes and you have somebody who loves a particular thing and they, it could be a kid, it could be a nephew, it could be a cousin, it could just be a friend's kid. Because, like, you just, before we even got on air, you did something for me and my family and my kid that, like, made me want to cry, right? Like, you have the people in your life who are down to ride for you and not only want you to flourish, but want the people in your life to flourish. So, what if it's somebody in your life? I'm not asking you to imagine it's your kid, but what if it's somebody in your life who has something that they love more than anything in the world, but they don't feel like they're represented. They don't feel like their body parts represent them. They go through a transition. NCAA rules allow for them to compete, and it just happens they smoke the living shit out of everybody that they're competing against because it was something that they were dedicated to, and now they have a physical advantage. We don't know Leah Thomas, so it's easy for us to go out and talk about it. But what if it is somebody do you know? Then is it off limits? I don't.
No, no,
It's one of
dude.
those things
I
where like
would have.
is
I
does it
would,
change the closer you get?
dude. I got a chance to ask some transgender people about this. Two in particular. And I asked this question to them about it. And they both agreed that it wasn't that they didn't think that they should be able to compete in the same situation. It sucks, and there does need to be some sort of solution, because just not being able to compete, that's not American and fair and all of that, as that's not American and fair and all of that as well. But I've asked, and that's what they said as well. But before we wrap up the show, Ralph, have you seen Twitter?
Yes, I just saw Twitter now. I have to go apologize to Browns fans.
Deshaun Watson, in a shocking change of events, plans to waive his no trade clause to go to the Cleveland Browns, according to Ian Rappaport and oh my God, and Field Yates and everybody else. Oh my God, bro.
And so here we are talking about the NCAA swimming championships and NCAA basketball, and now Deshaun Watson has sucked all the oxygen out of the room. NFL is king. There is no escaping it. Just bow down to your football overlords.
And it'll be 5 picks, apparently, according to Charles Robinson. Reporter for Yahoo says it'll be 3 first-round picks and 2 additional picks on day 2 or 3 from the Browns. Bro, I cannot believe that. That is, but I didn't see how the Saints or Falcons was even possible anyway. cap space. Their teams are terrible. And now the Browns are like, ha ha. And now he gets a wait, what the um bro, there's no way. There's no way that that's right. Bro, there's no way that there's no way that this money is right. There's no way. There's no way.
What are they giving him? Oh my God.
So
They gave him a raise?
yes, because it
Isn't Deshaun Watson getting an inappropriate raise what put us in this situation in the first place?
wow. Well,
That's where we should end the podcast.
He'll have plenty of money to if he ends up settling any of these lawsuits. So Ian Rappaport said fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. That's $80 million more than the previous record for fully guaranteed money at signing, which was $150 million. Oh my God, bro.
So this raise should definitely cover any settlement.
Oh my God, bro. Place. I can't even breathe right now. All right, you guys, that's Right or Wrong. I'm George